right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Bob Pompeani here. Andrew Fillipponi up at 93.7 The Fan. PM team in action today, and you can call us at 412-575-2600. That's the number of the hotline. If you prefer social media, it's at KDPomp, at the Pony Express. And our Penn West University, KDKA.com Connect. Question of the night is, do you have confidence that Broderick Jones can bounce back against the Seahawks? I have a feeling this is going to go in the no department by a lot of fans. But Andrew, Mike Tomlin is sticking by his guy today. He said it was not the kind of start they wanted, of course. And people are going to start wondering if this continues, just how long before they make a move. And they don't have a whole bunch of options there. Andrus Peat is behind him. They brought him in at the last minute. His best work is behind him, but he's done it before. Dylan Cook. But the bottom line is he needs to get better and has to start this week because Seattle's going to bring a lot of pressure. They, I think, were one of the best teams this past week in putting pressure on a quarterback in San Francisco.
Bob, let me start by saying tonight, I was at a great fundraiser for Coaches versus Cancer, and I ran into Dr. Stanley Marks, and he said that we, the two of us, put him to bed every night. So I want to give him a shout out. He's one of the great doctors in America, and for him to say that about the two of us really was humbling that he looks at us that way. So if he's out there watching, as he normally is in bed, thank you, Dr. Marks, for tuning in again tonight.
He's an icon, and he's one of those guys who saves lives and does so many things that people don't even know about.
100%.
Honor to be in his company. And, you know, there was a time where he would call and use a different name, Stush from Monessen. And I said, keep calling. We don't have to know who you are, but it'll be Stush from Monessen. Call, Stush. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I also had someone come up to me and said, you now have Bob Pompeani hair, which I wasn't sure if that was a compliment. I took it as one. But that's what happened
I hope
tonight's
you did.
event.
I mean, it's not exactly. It's thinning. You know.
I said thank you. I said I appreciate you saying that.
That's a great event, by the way. Kudos for you to do it.
Thank you. As far as Broderick Jones is concerned, look, I mean, if the poll question is, do you have confidence in him doing better than he did against the Seahawks? I mean, against the Jets, of course. I mean, it couldn't be any worse. He gave up 3 sacks. There were 4 pressures. But, you know, I've already labeled the guy a bust. I don't say that with any malice. I'm just being honest about the situation. He's in year 3, and we still have not seen him play good football over an extended period of time. And the issue is he plays, after quarterback, the most important position on offense, which is making sure your quarterback doesn't get killed. And he almost did that against the Jets, and that's why you've got Ben Roethlisberger coming out on his podcast today saying, look, I was encouraged by what Aaron Rodgers did, but if that's the kind of protection he's going to get, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to make it through an 18-week season. And, you know, Mike Tomlin got asked a question today. You guys played it during the sports before we came on the air. Will Graves asked him, do you have confidence, or he asked him, does Broderick Jones have confidence in himself? I wanted to hear Mike Tomlin answer the question, do you have confidence in Broderick Jones? And then ask him why. Because they clearly are still playing him, but he's done very little in 3 years to make me feel like, Bob, he can do a good job of making sure his quarterback doesn't get injured.
Yeah, he was playing on the right side last year, allowed 13 sacks, already 3 this year. That's a pace that you don't even want to talk about. So obviously that is going to be something that we watch. And we've been watching the tackles, quite frankly, all throughout training camp and preseason games. And they did okay in the preseason, but it is, quote, preseason. Didn't see the sort of dialed up pressure they got from the Jets. All right, let's talk about somebody they brought in today, Jabril Peppers. He was cut by New England, kind of surprisingly, because they need help over there, I thought. Anyway, he's available. They took him because of the injury to Deshaun Elliott, and he could be maybe week to week, maybe a couple of weeks, whatever the case may be. And it was interesting. I thought Mike Tomlin, you know, he didn't give him a, quote, a ringing endorsement. Like he always says when he's talking about great players, he needs no endorsement from me. He really didn't get that. He was basically a football player. They brought him in. I'm sure they like him. But it was clear that when Deshaun Elliott is back, I don't think he has a job, at least not as a starter.
You know, Jabril Peppers 2 years ago was one of the great run-defending safeties in all of football.
He was, yes.
And the metrics back that up. Now, he's had a litany of off-the-field allegations, accusations, and things that have gotten resolved. I mean, he was on the commissioner's exempt list because there was a domestic violence allegation and there was a cocaine use allegation. And that's why he missed so many games last year. But when he played, he was good. And I think Mike Vrabel used Jabril Peppers as an example. He deemed him expendable. He wanted to send a message to his team. Now, I think for what the Steelers need, Bob, he's a terrific addition. They need somebody tough who plays the run well, and he does that. So I don't think it'll take him long to get caught up to speed. He's played for 6 different defensive coordinators in his career, so that goes to show you he can pick up defenses. I expect him to take Chuck Clark's job and be someone who goes in there and plays against the run, Bob, because when you give up 484 yards rushing in your last 2 games, no job is safe. And I feel like this is a guy who specializes in something that the Steelers badly need.
Yes, it's fine as long as those tackles come up near the line of scrimmage and not back as a third line of defense where you're just stacking up numbers because no one else is making tackles. We got to take a break. We'll also talk about a guy who's been in his share of trouble, Tyreek Hill. And the rumors are out there about potentially coming to Pittsburgh. He's disgruntled. He's been a big problem down there, I think, and one of the reasons why they are what they are. He's not produced the way you would expect a $36 million per year athlete to produce. And we'll talk about that and more. We want your phone calls as well. 412-575-2600. Call now. Get those calls in right here on Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. All right, this is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Jerry Dulac. Tomlin on Jones, quote, he could be better. Our quarterback got hit too much, and it was a component of that, and that's absolutely true. Troy Fotano also allowed a sack. They had a lot of pressure there, and you can't have Aaron Rodgers get hit that many times knowing that he is 41, and he's a good quarterback. He came right back from those hits, but, man, one was a high-low combination that I thought would be one that may put him out of the game. So you want to make sure things are better in that department. We'll continue that discussion. In fact, our first caller tonight, as you look at our Penn West University, question of the night from KDKA.com/connect. Do you have confidence that Broderick Jones will bounce back? And surprisingly, the answers are in favor of yes, they think he can. Let's find out what our number one Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night says, and that would be Will in McKees Rocks, who joins us right now. Hey, Will.
Hey, Bob. Great to talk to you.
You too. Thanks.
Oh, no, thank you. Hey, Pony, I really, you stole my thunder on this one. I really agree with you 100%. I think Broderick Jones is going to be a bust as well. But I wanted to switch over my question to the running game from this past Sunday. Do you think that we couldn't run the ball efficiently because of the play calling or just the lack of execution?
Go ahead, Pony. I think he directed that at you.
Well, Mike Tomlin's reasoning today is that they didn't have the ball enough and that he gave credit to the Jets' offense for keeping the ball away from the Steelers' offense and putting the Steelers in a situation where they were trailing in games and therefore making the running game less than a factor. Okay, that would explain why the volume isn't there, the quantity. But when you did it, you weren't effective. And they haven't been effective at all at any point where we've seen the Steelers' offense out there. The reports in camp was that they couldn't run the ball against their own defense. The preseason, Bob, you called the games. They were not good with the first-team offense out there in any of the preseason games. And then it showed up again in this game. So, you know, Mike can dance around it all he wants. They've so far shown that they can't run the ball. And it didn't affect Sunday's outcome. To their credit, they scored a ton of points and didn't need the run game. But their whole ethos as a team is that they're balanced and that they can run the ball. And I would say it's not just an issue of, you know, what the Jets did. It's deeper than that, and that's something that over the next 16 games they've got to correct, Bob, because, you know, we've seen teams that have ranked near the bottom of the league in rushing win a lot, win Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Steelers are going to be so prolific passing that they can afford to be that kind of abysmal running team.
No, and they need play action to work, and that does, after a while, if it doesn't show in the run game, then, you know, defenses are not going to sense you're going to run it at all as much as you normally would or as effectively as you normally would. You're right about that. Let's go to Jack in Allegheny Township. What's up, Jack? How are you tonight?
Yeah, pretty good, Bob. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Hey, this fine that they gave this guy from
Jalen Carter?
I'm sorry.
Jalen Carter from the Eagles?
Yeah, that's a smack. That's like a $5 fine. That's ridiculous. The guy should be suspended at least 3 games. I have grandkids that play football. I don't need them to see that kind of action on the field to think that's okay.
I think you're right. And I thought 57,000, I think, whatever it was, that's basically what he makes in 1 week. Okay. For them, that's not all that much. But 1 game suspension, which they say already time served, which is to indicate that it happened in that game, and so you're using that game just because he got thrown out early as the suspension, is ridiculous. That's not the kind of look the NFL wants, and I thought they would have a harder penalty involved with that. I did not like it. Andrew, I don't know about you.
Well, let's just make sure we're transparent about probably why this happened the way it did.
Are you going to talk about Dak Prescott?
The Eagles play the Chiefs. Well, I'm going to say the Eagles play the Chiefs on Sunday.
Oh,
and
okay.
I don't think they want to eliminate Jalen Carter from that game.
It shouldn't have any bearing.
You're right, but I think it does. This is the matchup of the year in the NFL. It's the late window game on Fox. They're sending all their people to the game. They've billed it as the biggest regular season game of the year. And so to subtract the Eagles' best defensive player, they're going to make up the rules as they go here. And the NFL is going to, come up with this cockamamie, well, because he did it before the game started, that was a de facto 1-game suspension. If they were playing, let's say, the Saints on Sunday, Bob, the Eagles, I think they would have suspended him for this game.
All right, but the precedent
they want
is
him
now
out there
set
against
then.
the Chiefs.
The precedent is now
You're
set.
right.
Go ahead and spit on somebody. You're not going to get much, so go ahead and do it. I don't like it. And I don't like that taking place in society. When you're lenient, people know that, okay, you can do what you have to do because you're not going to get penalized enough. And now it happens in sports. I don't like it. I don't care what the matchup is. He deserved to be suspended longer than that. Let's move along here. We have George in Greensburg. George, go right ahead.
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Hey, question for you guys. Has anybody had any sort of thoughts on trying to bring back a different offensive line coach like how we had Mike Munchak back in the day?
I haven't heard any conversation. Pat Meyer's been here for a while now. And if you're suggesting that Jones is his problem, it's probably a 50-50 proposition there. I think it's the player, it's the coach. He also has done good things with, Zach Frazier and McCormick up there, 2 young guys. I don't know if I've heard that at all, Andrew, and I don't suspect that I will.
Well, Zach Frazier does look like a guy that's going to develop into one of the great centers in the NFL. And I would say McCormick for a 4th-round pick has held his own. But, any coach, any position coach should really be judged by how he does with first-round talents. And if you can't get a lot out of them, my opinion is that's not a very good reflection of you as a coach. So, if Broderick Jones is a bust, that would be a mark against Pat Meyer. If Troy Fautanu is just an average player, well, then to me, that would be enough to want to look in a different direction as far as the leadership of that unit goes. You can't continue to invest high picks and money in that position, which is so important, line play, and not get results. And before, when you were trying to ask a coach to get 4th-round picks and 3rd-round picks and Kendrick Greens and guys like that, okay. But now you're spending serious draft resources and money on that. You better have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, and 1 week in, the Steelers don't look like a team that has that.
And another example of a failed opportunity was Kevin Dotson, who goes to another organization and becomes a high-priced player, and they couldn't get that out of him here. Real quick, I want to ask about Tyreek Hill. That rumor's out there, and, I look at that a lot of different ways. I understand why people would be salivating to get that guy in here as talent, but, I think there are many components to this player, including his off-the-field activities, which, again, are brought into focus because of another allegation by his ex-wife today, 8 different domestic violence charges. He denies them all. We'll see how that goes, but this is not the first time for that. And second of all, he's one of those guys, like at the end of last year, I remember how he immediately just dismissed everything and said, I want out of here. This is a guy they're giving $36 million to. He's $50 million in the cap next year. Yeah, he's got great talent. He's not shown it the last year and a half, but prior to that, outstanding, one of the best in the game. But Andrew, I don't know how you sit upon this. I think it would take a lot, and it wouldn't. I'm not talking draft capital. You could get him for a 4th-round pick, but I think it would take a lot on Miami's part to help whoever gets him to pay, because I'm not going to pay that kind of money for him at this, at this point, the way he's played.
You can cut him at the end of the year, and you're going to take, I think, a $15 million dead cap hit. So you ask yourself, is he worth it for the rest of this year to incur that kind of penalty at the end of the season? And it depends how desperate you are to win. Calvin Austin passed the first test of the season. Roman Wilson, against a team that really, outside of Sauce Gardner, had problems at corner, didn't play. And so that tells me that the Steelers really only trust 2 wide receivers. And everything they said about Roman Wilson going into the season was exactly that. It was just talk. So it depends. I mean, I'm not opposed to it if the way you laid it out, if it's a day 3 pick, if Miami's taking money back, or you feel comfortable with your cap situation where you can eat the dead money next year, then I say go for it. And add a weapon and trust Mike Tomlin to try to manage the personalities, because Bob, if you're trying to keep up with the Bills and Ravens, that might be the best way to do that. And as long as you're not giving up serious draft capital, it could be worth a shot.
Yeah, and again, I think it wouldn't take serious draft capital at this point. He wants out of there. They probably want to, but their quarterback situation's deplorable right now. It's not any better. They have problems, but he's been part of that problem as well. We'll take a break, come back with more. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here live on KDKA+. Real quick, let's squeeze in one call before we go. That would be Jim in Scott Township. Jim, you have 20 seconds to ask your question. Go ahead.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, I thought Aaron Rodgers played good, but the defense got to step up and play better.
Yeah, I mean, their defense is going to be under scrutiny until they do something. They have the highest paid defense. Mike Tomlin and other players have talked about being historically good. Well, it wasn't anywhere close to that, and that has to change this week. I don't know what you think about Sam Darnold, but, he could be a little bit more dangerous than some people think.
Bob, I mean, did you not notice today doing the show with Mike Tomlin that he mentioned about 45 guys on the Seahawks roster before he got to Sam Darnold?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, if they were playing the Ravens on Sunday, I don't think it'd take him that long to get to Lamar Jackson.
No. Mr.
I don't think
Jackson.
he's that impressed with Sam Darnold.
We're out of time, Pony. Thank you as always.
Goodbye,
Appreciate
Bob.
it. Good night. We'll see you again tomorrow night right here.